What happened?
Very much unplugged my headset.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, oh, get here.
Hey, you know what we forgot last week?
I do know what we forgot last week.
It was our 100th episode. It was our official 100th episode. And we did
what's the worst
nothing.
part? You know what's the worst part is we actually planned that.
I know.
Like we actually planned, like, let's make sure the 100th episode is the first episode of 2021. And we planned it all out and made sure that it was the 100th episode. You know, did a bonus episode here and there throughout the year to make sure that it was the 100th episode. And then when we got there, we're like, yeah, it's cool.
It was a very nonchalant, no thrills, no chills, just like, we're here. We're having fun.
We did it. What more do you need?
Yeah. We're, what do you expect?
Anything?
We did it.
Call.
But yeah, okay, so looking at things, introspectively, like you and I have been doing this podcast for 3 years now, maybe 3.5. And it was on the guise of anytime I talk to you over the phone, I feel like we have really cool, very unique conversations where sometimes there's a debate and sometimes there's agreement across the board. But whatever it is, the topics are not necessarily your normal everyday topics, or at least topics that I feel like should be talked about, but people are too scared to talk about it. So 3 years later, I mean, how do you feel? Do you feel like your podcast skills have increased? Do you feel like...
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Do I feel like my skills have increased? I would hope my skills would increase after 100 episodes.
Sure, but...
I would hope I'm a little better. At least a little. Like, I'm not asking for professional. But at the very least, like, I have gone from... absolute beginner to maybe amateur or something. Like, come on.
Okay. No. Okay. So maybe I might have phrased that badly. So
sure.
After 3 years, after 100 episodes, what have you learned? Whether it's about you, about me, about this podcast, about the industry, like what have you gotten out of it? Like, why do we get up bright and early Monday morning, every other Monday morning to do this? What have you learned from that?
Yeah, because it works for Tony and it makes me miserable because I'm not a morning person.
Okay, this guy.
Also, we don't it doesn't work at night. Like, I know that.
Yes, that was my follow up.
It does not, like, TBF, to be fair, it does not work at night.
Yeah,
stop that.
It does. Watch the show and then you'll enjoy it more.
Yeah, it does not work at night for some reason. It just doesn't flow. We have other things going on. You've got family. I've got family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving beyond that, though.
What have I learned? I don't know. Like, it's hard to just like make a. What, like, would you want a text list? Like, I don't know a lot.
Okay.
I think our flow, like, over 100 episodes, our flow's gotten a lot better.
Oh, without a doubt. There's definitely been...
My microphone's got a lot better.
Yeah.
You remember the first episode? I was recording on the 2013 Astros.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
The audio. I remember...
It sounded kind of like this. Hi, this is Quinnton McKinnon. Yeah, how's it going?
No,
I remember showing it to Maddie, and I was like, hey, I need a new mic. And I showed her my recording. She's like, you sound fine. Then I showed her your recording. She's like, you sound like crap. I'm like, yeah, so can I get a mic?
No, I remember our first recording. I started the recording. There was music that I pulled, that I ripped from SoundCloud. And then B, I started off with some random quote. that made
Oh yeah,
no sense,
I remember that.
right? It was this weird random quote that just kind of.
I would like to dedicate this song to Robert. I don't know. I'll come up with a last name. Robert Tony.
That's a terrible last name. That's my first name. It shouldn't be anybody's last name.
I would like to dedicate this to Trent John Clyde and his schooling.
The idea behind the quote for me, the reason why I did the quote was only because I thought, hey, I want to set the stage of getting people to think for themselves and not to just go with what everybody is saying and just to kind of go along with it, but to think for themselves and to be self-judgmental, not in a negative sense, but to look upon themselves introvertedly and say, okay, how can I better myself? And that honestly was like one of the reasons why I wanted to do the quote. The problem is there is a quote, and then we talked about a Star Wars hotel that might happen in Disney. Like there was no connection whatsoever. And so we got rid of the quote.
This is true.
Yeah. Which is a good thing. I was listening to a podcast about how to podcast better, and they were talking about how like you have 10 to 15 seconds to get people's attention in a podcast. So to have your intro, whatever that is, that length wastes all of your time, and people are going to, oh, I don't care, and then just move on.
So every episode, we just need to start with, hey, listen! just super aggressive. So you get those people that are kind of more introverted, more like, that just like they listen to people like in that way. And so they're just like, oh, okay, sorry. I'm listening. I'm invested, whether I like it or not.
Like, put that burger down and listen to me. Like, how'd you know I had a burger?
Also, why can't I eat and listen? I don't seem to affect each other. Put it down. It's going to get cold.
I don't care. Warm it back up later. I mean, after doing this, definitely our flow has gotten a lot better. But then, we built upon it, especially with being more in the streaming realm. And I think, honestly, you have been able to break down a few barriers that you might have been a little bit hesitant about in the first place. One of the big ones was doing video. And I don't know if it was the fact that now that you have a green screen, amongst other things. Okay, I guess so.
Yeah, but that's a big one, being able to kind of separate myself and be like, this is my land.
Right.
And nothing exists out of this land. See, look, like, see how I stopped existing?
No,
that's because there's nothing out here. There is no existence past here. I only exist in this realm.
But putting you on screen, your face on screen for non-work related stuff, because you've been on screen for work related things, but for non-work related stuff, before you were very, very hesitant about that, and now your on-screen presence, even though you're not a morning person, I don't think people would know. Honestly, like, you pretty much wake up by the end of the first topic and you're good to go and you're ready to throw punches my way.
You know what really helps in the 3 years we've been doing this is when I got on meds.
Oh,
I got on Ritalin, and so it makes you wake up and
that's
focus.
True. Yeah. And
like about 30 minutes before we started, I took 2 of those bad boys, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna. Oh, hi, hello, welcome.
Well, I think it goes without saying, if that is something that works for you, and you're doing it in such a way that is still healthy for you, and you're getting things done, then that's awesome. I'm very happy.
The way you're phrasing is like I have some sort of like mantra that's like, yes, I do 10 minutes of yoga every morning. And it's like, no, it's amphetamines.
I just pop pills. It's fine.
Which they are doctor prescribed.
Yes.
Let's clear the air here.
And that's why I'm
didn't buy it off some guy in the corner named Joe.
No, that's kind of why I'm skating around it, because I'm trying to say, look, not everybody is on board with taking pills, Ritalin, whatever. Like some people don't want to touch those whatsoever, but then on the other side of it, some people do abuse it. So I'm saying,
right.
You have found the literal middle ground that doctors want you to be on, but also you are also very healthy on that middle ground. And so if you can stick to it and it's not affecting, your lifestyle or anything else in your family and other connections, awesome. I'm very happy for you. Just make sure you do your yoga beforehand.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hey, stretching is important, to be fair. Stretching is important. Yeah,
without a doubt. I mean, I stretch every morning. Not at all, but you're correct. You should stretch. It's very important.
Speaking of stretching, are you because I know California is a lot more locked down, which is in its own sense good because California is taking this seriously. What is Tony doing for gym?
I don't know, Jim. I am walking every once in a while. And when I say every once in a while, I mean once a month walking. It's real bad. I have no excuse. But if we were to look at my calendar, every single day I am doing something work. And this kind of goes into what you and I were talking about last Thursday when we had that debate over the phone. I wake up at 8. I go to work at 9. I come back here and I work on the computer. I stream till about 5 or 6. And whether I have my daughter or not, that will affect what I do after streaming. We have dinner around 7:30, 8 o'clock, and then bedtime story at 9. And then it pretty much cycles all over again. So
do you make up the bedtime story real quick?
Do I what?
Do you really offshoot question? Do you make up the bedtime story or read her bedtime stories?
I 1000% make it up.
Heck yeah. Keep going.
And by the way, for you dads out there, if you make up a bedtime story, record it. Use your iPhone, voice memos, Android, whatever, record it. So years later, you can listen back to it and it is going to be adorable for you. But getting back to the topic at hand, could I find time to go to the Gym or walk more? Yes. Unfortunately, it's just not a priority for me. For example, after you and I do this, it is 10:30 a.m. my time right now. We'll be done around 11:30-ish, probably. After that, I have video that I need to edit for the YouTube channel. After that, I have lunch. After that, I'm playing games with Kurt. After that, my daughter comes by, and I might do a podcast with her. We're going to do a music react. So I have all these things that I'm juggling, and walking is just not one of them. What will make me get outside, though, is getting her back on the bike.
Okay.
Did I tell you about the bike story?
No.
Okay. So for Christmas, Estrella got a bike from Aurelia's mother for a Christmas gift.
Awesome.
This bike
Liking
is
it so far.
The bike is huge. You've seen my daughter. My daughter is quite small. She's 8, but she looks like she's 6. She's very small for her age. But the bike is huge. And after a little bit of finagling, we actually were able to get the bike seat to a size in which she can reach all the pedals. And Estrella has tried to ride a bike when she's at her mother's with her mother and her mother's boyfriend. And not to, downgrade anything that they've tried, but they tried with very little success. But over here, because Aurelia has the patience of a saint and, was with Estrella at pretty much every step of the way, within about 15 seconds, Estrella is zooming down the street.
Awesome.
Now, she still fell over a few times, and we caught her. But she's zooming as fast as an 8-year-old is gonna want to zoom, and we're running like this. This is how I run, by the way. We're running, and
that looks like a Tony run.
Yep, total Tony run, and so that's something that I want to do later today too, is get her back on the bike so she doesn't lose that understanding of finding her balance, and also to coincide it with Aurelia's work schedule. Because I don't think she works today, but if she doesn't, it would be much better in our favor to be able to do it without her at work. Because I don't think I would have the patience to do what Aurelia did.
Was she okay with like falling over and stuff?
She had one kind of major spill, and she does have knee and elbow pads and a helmet. So she had one major spill, but whenever your kid falls, your reaction is reciprocated by their reaction. So if you go, "Oh no," they're gonna go, "Oh no." So
I'm dying.
Yeah, right. So we try to go, "Oh no, it's cool. Hey, high five. You fell. You're gonna get it back up. You're gonna get back up again, and everything's gonna be fine." And so I think there were a little bit of like bottom lip tremoring, from Australia.
Am I okay?
Yeah, and then
am I okay? And
but
you're yeah, you really are.
Yeah, but Aurelia said, like, "Oh, we're good to go. Get back on. Let's go. Moving on." And after that, she went almost 3/4 of a block by herself.
There you go.
After that, yeah. So I guess
my very first big spill, because I didn't learn how to ride a bike until I was at least, I want to say 9 or 10.
Okay. So you were a late bloomer as well.
Yeah, and I mean, ride a bike without training wheels, because anyway, I remember my first big spill. I don't remember what happened, if I hit the curb or something, but I went over the handlebars.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember
full face.
I remember my first big spill. I knew how to ride a bike, but I didn't know how to ride a bike off a ramp. And my neighbors in the courtyard that we lived in, they had a ramp and they were going off of it, and I was like, "Oh, I could totally do that." Even though it was this far off the ground. At the apex of being at the top of the ramp, I went, "Holy this is scary." And I hit the brake, but I hit the front brake.
No!
And I toppled over, and then the bike toppled on top of me as well. I did not have a helmet.
Now, did you do the important thing as a kid? This is kind of a requirement as a kid, of putting the playing card between your spokes to make the effect.
When I was much younger, I didn't have the playing card. I had these little nodes that you put onto each spoke. And as you rode...
The colored ones?
Yes, the colored ones. And they would click, clack, click, clack. That's the closest thing to the card. But my I hadn't seen the card in real life. I'd only seen it in movies like The Goonies and stuff, right? And I would say to my dad, "How come they have a card and I have these click clacks?" And my dad said, "Well, you can always lose the card, but those click clack things will stay on there all the time." I'm like, "Oh, you're much smarter than The Goonies." Or something. I don't remember what I said, but I remember going, "Oh, my dad."
You gotta do it for your daughter, though. You gotta give her that experience, because that encourages kids to go faster and stuff. Because the faster you go, the more click clacks you get.
You know what? I will probably buy some click clacks after the show. I will. I will type into Amazon bike click clack. Actually, let me do that right now.
Yes, I want to know what comes. I want to know what comes up.
Let's see right now.
I'm curious.
I'm very curious as well too. So bike click clack.
A pellet.
the Peloton wannabe, a bike saddle,
Oh,
bike shoes.
what is that? No. Go back up. What is that?
That is the Melissa and Doug Chomp and Clack Alligator Push Toy.
Yes, that one. That one. Buy it for yourself.
This is the
Buy
one
it for
that's going to
yourself.
help Estrella learn to ride faster. That is correct.
For those of you watching or listening just with audio, it is a wooden. Like it looks like a wooden
push
shopping
toy.
cart.
Yeah, it's a wooden shopping cart with these alligators that when you push the shopping cart forward, the alligator chomps on its mouth, I guess, and because it's wooden, it makes click clack noises. But hey, it's on sale for $51.28.
It's very very specific.
Very
number.
specific. Here's a dog push toy. What would you call those things? Seriously.
Spoke.
Okay. Bike
Try bike spoke colors. Just try
spoke
keywords.
colors. Okay, color decoration. Lights. Lots of lights.
Oh, give her just the lights.
Here
man.
we go. Here we go.
What are they called?
They are
Plastic
called
clips.
plastic
Okay.
clips for
That would make
$5.
sense. $5 for how many? That looks like a ton.
What do I need all of those? Like how many is in here? This one is 210.
For $10.
This one is 100. This one's 105.
Well, I mean, if she loses them,
Yeah,
she'll have plenty
I
to
guess
pull
so. So much for sneaking up on the dog, huh?
Oh, jeez.
I mean, to a degree, that's kind of one reason why you would want to have these is because if you have a child and you're allowing your child to bike around the neighborhood, then you can just audibly, if you just hang out in the front yard, especially if the child is around my daughter's age, you don't want to just go back inside and hope that she gets back home. You can wait in the front yard and just audibly hear okay, she's closer. Then there she is. Hey, I heard you.
That is true though. You'd at least be able to hear her. You know what's funny is when I actually learned from a neighbor, and when they were teaching me, they're like, yeah, you should go on dirt paths and stuff like that, and get your off-roading in.
Get your off-roading in?
Well, get used to going on dirt, right? Not just asphalt.
Yeah.
Get used to dirt and stuff. And I'm like, okay, but I don't usually go anywhere, and this is kind of an urban area that we live in. Lo and behold, in his backyard, he's got this giant, not giant, well, maybe as big as it was when I was that age, but
right,
it was
when you were 10.
He'd torn up his entire backyard and made it into a what is it, BMX course?
Yeah. Like a dirt
He did
dirt course.
Yeah, he did that to his entire backyard. I was like, what?
Wait, how
okay,
old? How old's your neighbor?
I don't know. I was 9.
Okay, but
he had a kid.
Were they an adult or were they just an older kid?
He had a kid.
Oh, okay. So this was just a nice, friendly, older adult neighbor that was a parent.
Yeah.
That recognized, hey, here's a kid who's just riding around in circles in our street. Let me show him the paradise that I have in the backyard.
I remember he had one of those little gates too. He got one of those little how on BMX they have that little thing that's in the front of the front tire, and then you pull it and it drops the metal plate so everyone flies forward at the same time.
Wow, really?
Yeah,
he had one of those.
Yeah.
Gee, so was the course big enough for people to ride alongside each other to actually race each other?
I don't think so. I don't remember ever going parallel to someone.
Okay. By the way, I just sent the link to Aurelia for the Click Clacks, and she says, "Oh my God, I love these. She will love them." So, yes, a $6 purchase will be in order after this podcast. Stay tuned for that.
Get after it. Yeah, I want to hear how it goes.
You might hear
You gotta get some. Yeah, you gotta get some audio work. You gotta get some microphone out there and like have her ride by you, and so all you can hear is just her riding by.
Well,
there's your homework.
Assuming that we get it, because it's Amazon. Assuming that we get these within the next couple of days, I might actually do like a live stream on Twitch on this channel with Estrella biking with Clacks, episode 3.
You can't tell her what they do though. You gotta let the reveal happen.
That's a great
itself.
idea. Yeah. Well, I'm sure she'll like mess around with them. She'll like pick it like as we're riding the bike out to the front. She'll see that they're moving along the spoke.
Right.
Yeah. But that would definitely be fairly exciting. Did you have like a BMX bike with the grind rails for the wheels for people to stand on?
No.
Yeah.
No, I always wanted a bike like that, but no, my bike was given to me by my mom's boyfriend, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
I didn't learn till like 2 years after I received it how to ride it without training wheels. Because I didn't really have a teacher at the time that could teach me, and my mom, although knowing how to ride a bike, didn't know how to teach a bike, as far as I understand. Which is going to be the truth because there's no one around to correct me. So,
Okay.
So the bike I had, I remember only 2 things about it. Is it was red. And it was one of the bikes where it doesn't have the brakes on the handles. It has the brake where you pedal and you pedal backwards to cause the braking system to engage.
Yeah. So you didn't have gears
because
you didn't have gears.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
No. It's funny about that is I didn't even know about the handlebar things until I was like 15.
Okay.
Like I did not know that existed until I was riding a bike that had those things, and I didn't even know what they were for. I thought that was for like gears or something. And I'm riding, and I go to pedal backwards to stop, and I don't stop.
It doesn't stop.
I start free spinning, and I'm like, what?
Did you hit a wall, or you figured it out?
I think I figured it out. Okay. I don't think I think I scared myself because I was like, I don't know which of these like does. I didn't know there was like a front and back, and like. I think I hit just both of them, so I just, stopped.
Sure.
And then I was like, okay, I, sat down, I started figuring out, okay, this one is doing that one is doing this, okay, that's causing this, I probably want to hit the back one so I don't fly over the handlebars.
Josie in the chat says he hit a truck. I guess when he was learning. I hope the truck was stationary, or I'm glad the truck didn't hit you, Josie. But
I'm hoping, you didn't have any damage to yourself, and I hope you didn't do any damage to the truck that you were responsible for. I
mean, the first time that my father let go and just said, "Go, you are free," I hit an old lady. I brushed past an old lady, and she moved off of the path, and that freaked me out, and that caused me to fall over. But I also had one of those bikes where the brake was essentially you just stop pedaling or you pedal backwards. When I got my father's old bike that did have gears and did have actual brake on the handlebars, very similar to you, no explanation, nothing. But luckily we had a long enough driveway in Belgium that I was able to mess around with it before I got onto the actual, road. And so when I got onto the actual road, the one thing that screwed me up was not fully understanding how the gears work. And not gears of war, Mr. Josie in the chat, but bicycle gears, bicycle cogs that I was going slightly uphill, but I was in, not first gear. I was in like 6th gear. So I'm like going like this and like, why is it going so fast, but I'm not going anywhere? It was bad.
I'm accomplishing nothing.
One of the big issues that we have with Nicholas's bike is that he is a very seasoned rider for his age. He likes to do power slides and stuff like that. I think he can do a wheelie for a much longer duration than I could ever try, but because of how trees are over here, his tires, or more specifically, the tube inside of his tires puncture quite often because of the little stickers or the tree thorns and spikes and stuff like that. But that's something that I never really had to be concerned with or anything. But I'm very excited to be a part of Estrella's journey in learning how to ride a bike. Incidentally, though, I don't have a bike.
Neither do I.
I don't want to buy a bike until we move, because I don't want to have another thing here at this location and have to say, okay, now we're moving to another location. And the bikes are just awkward pieces of equipment that in a moving truck, I don't know how I would safely move it without completely screwing it up. Because we'll probably get a U-Haul, which means we're the ones that are packing it. I don't know if I don't know if I can afford a moving company.
No, I believe in you. You could figure it out.
Well, I was never good with Tetris, but Aurelia was. So I'm relying on her to say, why are you doing that? Let me just tell you what to do. I'm like, oh yeah, you do that. You order me around.
You put the heavy totally stuff on the bottom. You put the light stuff on the top.
See,
and
you
then
say this like it's so easy, but the thing is, like when I have a box, when I have a box of things, I just kind of go from left to right on my desk, and I remove things in that order, and it could be lightweight stuff or it could be heavy stuff. I don't know. And then at the end of it, the box is full, and then I lift the box, and then the box breaks on the bottom because I didn't completely tape it up. It's just bad.
You're the one that's doing the box of marshmallows, then box of bricks.
What happened to the marshmallows? I have no idea. I have no clue.
No idea why those brick imprints are there.
Seriously.
Not me.
No idea whatsoever.
No, the funny thing is the original thing that I brought up was the gym.
Right. That's how we got on this story. The Gime.
the Gime.
Yeah, the Gime.
I don't like that, because it sounds like something that you're doing from like the UK of like, oh yes, schedule, oh yes, but it's like the Gime, and it's like,
do you not get the Simpsons reference?
No.
Okay, so Homer is outside of a gym, and it says gym, and he goes,
right,
and Homer goes, Gime? What's a Gime? He walks in, he sees all this gym equipment, and he goes, oh, a Gime.
Gime? What's a Gime? Oh, a Gime.
He just holds to it.
It's
Great.
one of my favorite Simpsons quotes.
So we're trying to get back into the gym, though. At least me and our friends and stuff are trying to do a little bit more gym action, because they have a home gym, which is super handy dandy because it's not affected by things closing, right?
Are your gyms open, or are they closed right now?
No idea.
Okay. Ours are closed.
The thing
ours are closed, period. So we'd have to do home.
Right. No, it's funny because I'm just going to side tangent for just a second. We're told, especially in our job, we're told to kind of keep an eye on like what are restaurants doing, what are gyms doing, what is the population doing, and it's like I don't go out to eat. I don't go to like a gym like Planet Fitness or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't go to a gym. I don't go to these places, and so like keep an eye on things, and I'm like I don't.
Well,
I just stick to my little bubble, and
okay.
If something comes into the bubble, no, don't get me wrong. I have some news that I see and stuff like that, but when it comes to like the general like feel of like, okay, I'm going to these places and I'm hearing a lot of whispers of, we're probably going to be closing down in a couple days or something like that. Like, I don't see that because I don't go out enough. But anyway,
okay, I can support that to a certain degree. I think that It's more of if you noticed it. And I feel like if you are by a restaurant, because our job has us go by restaurants quite often, you would look over and say, hey, is there a tent outside? People are eating outside? Or is there no tent outside, but people are lining up outside the door? And then you could put two and two together and, and figure it out that way. That's what our job bosses are looking for. They're not asking you to make an extra stop to 24-hour fitness and knock on the door like, are you open yet? Hello?
Do you need a membership? No, I just wanted to see what's going on. That's all. No, speaking of like tents and stuff, I haven't seen any place do like tents outside or anything, but I gotta hand it to Chick-fil-A. Like, they had like a setup during the summer for their employees. Like, they had outdoor AC units and like tents and stuff like that to keep them cool, and like misters. Like, they had a whole big setup. Mind you, I've only got like one sample of one location, but they seem to do really well. So hopefully everyone else was the same.
Yeah, the Chick-fil-A over by us was very similar to that. I don't believe I saw misters, but I definitely saw like a water station, a hand sanitizing station. They had a little tent for them to take their breaks outside, with chairs that looked somewhat comfortable. I was definitely very impressed with the amount of employee support that Chick-fil-A was doing.
Anyway, so Jim.
Jim.
The whole reason I brought it up though is we started. We got back in there and we started doing a lot of like weightlifting and like bench press and stuff like that. And
yeah, those are
like,
gym terms.
Those are gym terms. Thanks. I was doing a set of my 1 rep max last time, which was like, holy crap. So finally got to see some results from all this summer workout stuff. So that was pretty cool.
Good work, man.
Yeah.
I remember when we went into, because we had a little bit of a furlough ourselves.
2 weeks. Yep.
And during that time, you said, I'm going to get into the gym. I'm going to get into what's called the shred shed that you and your buddies have.
Right.
And I was, as I said before, I was very jealous because I don't have access to anything like that. I don't have room to create my own shred shed necessarily. And I remember after everything was said and done, I asked you, again, a follow-up. I asked you, have you been back? And you said, no, but I want to. And I didn't follow up with that. I'm glad to see that you are actually getting back to it, and that you're hitting your max RP. And I hope that you can create a new RP very, very soon. Or PR, sorry. A new PR very, very soon.
Yeah.
Not RP. That's something different. So bringing it back to us celebrating the 100th episode of last week, because this is the 101st episode. What do you think your goal is? And I don't mind putting this on live streaming TV. I don't mind putting this in the podcast. What do you think your goal is for this podcast, for you? In a year from now, not necessarily in another 100 episodes, but what do you want to be able to do in a year from now from a podcasting point of view?
You put me on the spot, yo.
Yes. And that's one thing I love doing. I love putting you on the spot.
Yeah, I don't know. I continue doing it. That's an easy answer. I think that it's good for both of us, or at least for me.
Okay.
It's something consistent and something to do and something like you gain skill from. So yeah, there's that.
I'm going to answer, with something I think would be good for both of us. And that is, I think we should have guests. I think having your friend on, when we were talking about the Duo versus iOS, having a guest that is an expert in a particular field would be very interesting to add a third point of view on a particular subject.
What Tony's saying is that he's tired of me and then he wants someone else.
That is a roundabout way saying I'm tired of Quinnton McKinnon and I want somebody else in here. I know you and I talked about creating a Patreon in the past, but I wondered, now that we have, my Discord, you guys type in !DC here on the Twitch chat, you can get an invite to the Discord. We have my Discord so people can have conversations and discussions about the topics that we talk about in this episode, and we can build a community there. But I'm wondering if we take it up a notch and build a community with Patreon as well too, where, for those who subscribe to Patreon, they get an extra bonus episode of behind the scenes or an uncensored episode where we're a little bit more adult and we're swearing, and it doesn't, it's not necessarily something that your family would be embarrassed to hear. Oh my God, Quinnton, or vice, or whatever. We could have more community days with our Patreon where we could play Jackbox games with them, for example, So that's something like in regards to the next step of what we should do, Patreon, I think, is one of them. I want to get you to be more fluid in video and audio editing. So maybe having you edit some of the podcasts might be interesting. And then also just kind of overall, the idea of getting another guest every once in a while, I think would be cool.
I think one guest a year is plenty.
Oh my God.
Hey, we're overdue for one into that, guys. Okay. 2000. Well, no, actually we're right on track for one would be more the case. Tony does.
Yeah.
Tony does enough of the editing work.
Josie in the chat doesn't think I want to do the work anymore. And Josie, you're not really wrong. Because honestly, like one of the things I heard listening to this other podcast about how to make your podcast better is you and your co-host, whomever they are, do all the work on screen, on audio, but you need to offset the editing to somebody else so you can focus on marketing, so you can focus on your community. You don't want to have to worry about the edit. You make somebody else worry about that. So if I can make Quinnton,
I'm laughing because it's make someone else, and under that guise it's a third party, right? And I'm like, we'll pay you as much as we're making. How much is that? Exactly. Well, you didn't say an amount. Yeah. You get all of it.
You get all of it. Or we might give you a Xbox gift card if we ever get a code from work. We'll just give it to you.
You could have the next gift card I receive.
But I really do feel like the getting a quote unquote, I don't want to call them an intern, but getting somebody to do it just for the work experience. If someone is interested, and I'm going to put it out there, if you're listening to this podcast right now and you're interested in doing video and audio editing, and you would be interested in editing hours with no financial compensation, just the experience, and then also, possibly being able to put it on your resume and whatnot. It's something that we're thinking about. Yes, it would be great exposure.
Oh,
it would be great.
That's just hard to hear.
It would be great exposure for you, so we can get it in the pipeline. So whenever you sync up with your next positions, you are making sure that all of your ducks are in a row. I am not going to read what he just said in the chat.
No, we're moving right along.
We're moving right along. All right, folks, thank you so much for watching and or listening. If you'd like to follow along in our endeavors outside these live episodes, make sure you follow us on Instagram at the Still Recording Podcast. And for Quinnton, specifically for you, where can people find you and your digital stuff?
on Instagram and Xbox at Firewall.
You guys can find me under those locations at Lazy Tech Tony. I almost forgot what my own name was. And as I mentioned, we have our joint Instagram. We also have a Discord server that you can join that will be linked here in the podcast. And we hope to see you and hear you guys in the next one. Later.
Bye, guys.
Heart.